Mike Bohn joined now by Drew Dober, who is fighting Silva on Saturday at UFC on ESPN 59 in Denver. And Drew, you finally have a fight. How good does that feel?
I mean, we were still training, going through the protocol, and I mean, we had to be ready for anybody, which is fairly nostalgic because back when I fought in Denver locally, that's what we had to do too. So we kept that mentality, and I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, throwback. When did this fight in particular actually get done?
I mean, not too long ago. I mean, shortly after his win over at UFC 303. I mean, it was like days, and then he accepted, and I mean, it's a solid fight.
Yeah, what was the struggle kind of finding someone after the original opponent followed out? I know like Nazim, who was on the card, was maybe thinking about fighting you, and a couple other names threw their name in the hat. Dan Ige, I know before everything happened with him, was a name. How did you guys ultimately come to this one?
I mean, there was really no discussion on our end. It's, yes, yes, yes. I mean, I wanted to fight July 13th in Denver, Colorado against anybody. Like, I honestly didn't care. But I mean, the difficult part is like, I feel I'm all risk, no reward right now. I have the knockout record, and, I'm not a ranked opponent right now. So I can understand the hesitation, but, John Silva, is it Gene or John?
I think it's Jean.
John Silva, I mean, he's a gangster and he accepted this fight, and I can't wait to dance with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I guess, the kind of sacrifices you got to make if you want to fight on a date, no matter what, right? And it being such like a home game. Did any part of you like maybe think UFC wasn't going to come back to Denver at any point? Because I know like after one championship came there was some conflict with like the UFC and the commission and stuff. Did you think like Denver home games might be out of play for quite a while here?
I mean, Denver, Colorado is the birth of the UFC, so it's going to have a warm place in the UFC's heart for a long time. So I always knew they were going to come back. I just didn't know when or for how long, but I'm glad it's soon.
Yeah, and obviously, that's where you train. The city a lot, the elevation and stuff. I'm curious, Tracy Cortez, who got moved onto this card on short notice to fight Rose, she said she's been there for 2 days and got acclimated to the elevation. Is that possible in your experience?
I mean, I don't know like human anatomy and what they do in altitude, but I'm assuming 2 days isn't enough. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, like we all get tired inside the octagon, so it's what you do about it. And so the altitude is no joke, but it should make for entertaining fights.
Yeah, and you should have to wonder, I guess, how Silva will deal with that as well. I mean, coming up a weight class, the quick turnaround and stuff. Like, what are you kind of making of this whole thing? He obviously had a nice knockout, but missed weight. So, like, how are you processing what he's going to bring to the table here?
I mean, I think he's a tough opponent. I mean, from what I've seen, he likes to strike. He's wild. He's fun. He enjoys to be in there. And the fact that he's accepted this fight kind of shows that mentality. And I have zero prediction. Like he might not get tired at all. I'm just eager to find out once I'm inside there how strong he is, how fast he is, how wild he is, and if he gets tired or not.
Yeah, and I'm sure, obviously the last fight against Moicano didn't go the way that you wanted. You've had some months to reflect. What's your biggest takeaway from that one? You've experienced these type of things, the ups and downs. What do you learn from this fight in particular?
I mean, I already know the fact that I love to strike, and my opponents are trying to avoid it. And Moicano, extremely talented, but I think the errors were very small, extremely small, and it took me out of the decision. So we've tried to fill the holes. We try to improve the technique. We've been working on both grappling wise technique, but also mentality going into a fight. But as of right now, the way to beat me is to hold me on my back, which we're fixing.
Yeah, what do you do to kind of fix that at this stage in the game? You've obviously been doing this for a long time. Do you feel like there's big leaps you can take there, or is it all minor adjustments and improvements?
It's all minor adjustments. It's like your hand goes here instead of here. It's a game of inches, and so the fix is just like we're polishing right now. We're trying to make these small adjustments. However, I think the most significant fix is just being a little bit more offensive with my grappling. I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. I train under Elliot Marshall, who's talented. And, I have a national champion for a wrestling coach. So I know how to. It's just a matter of when you're in there, I'd much rather punch him in the mouth than wrestle. And so we're fixing that.
What does Coach Elliott say about close guard from bottom? Is he like one who's hard, like super opposed to that? I know some coaches think it's like terrible to do in MMA. Or do you get that kind of ingrained to never close your guard from bottom?
I mean, you're losing the fight if you're on bottom.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not, I don't know if you check out my record, I'm not a guard finisher. And so just that position alone is just not ideal for me. And it's very hard to kickbox horizontally. So I'm not a fan of full guard. And I'm sure Elliot looking at me isn't a fan of full guard. But I'm assuming his opinion changes depending on the athlete.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't think this is a fight given what Gene's done so far, or Jean. Probably going to try to strike with you here. Is that something that you're thinking? Would you be surprised if he shoots, or are you not surprised if anyone shoots on you at this point?
I'm not surprised if anyone tries to grab my leg and change the rhythm of the fight. But Gene, he seems like he likes slinging hands, and he's wild and he's fun. So you know, I expect him to try to damage me any way he can, you know, find it. But I have zero predictions. I just go in there and we figure it out.
Yeah. Have you seen this guy's walkouts? Are you prepared to be like standing in the tunnel and waiting like 5 minutes before this guy gets to the cage before you, or what?
I'm getting a lot of messages and like comments on social media about that, and it's not new to me. I fought Rafael Alves, and he had a long walkout as well. So no, when you take in the moments, he's going to give me a lot of moments to take in, and I'm just going to enjoy every second or minute of it.
Yeah. What's happening back there in the tunnel when the guy's taking like 5 minutes? Are you getting like agitated as the UFC production people being like, okay, like one more minute? Like, what are they saying when that's all going on?
I mean, you're pretty much standing in line to jump on that roller coaster. So, I mean, you're twiddling your thumbs, and you're just you just go over in your mind. But what I love, and this might be, you know, a disadvantage to Silva, when I'm in that pit, I finally get to see the lights, the crowd, the energy. Right, you pulled me from the locker room, and now I'm in front of the home crowd of Denver, Colorado. And so the longer I'm there, the more motivated I become. And we're bringing in some heat.
Yeah, love it. And I mean, I think you kind of alluded to it earlier, the knockout record. You're obviously tied with Dustin once again at 9. Is it a driving force to go in there and be not only take sole possession, but be the first lightweight to ever get double-digit UFC knockouts?
Well, the thing was I received that record not even thinking about it. And I think the moment I started thinking about it, my performance has kind of dipped. So, no, I stopped thinking about it. Knockout record is great. We're also tied for a guillotine record. So, like, these are the things that are like, you guys tell me after the fact. I get in there and I just do me.
What's that guillotine record? 0?
Yeah. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if Poirier has a guillotine win.
No, that's accurate, I think.
Yeah, I don't have any either.
That's funny, man. Yeah, I mean, but he seems like he's close to the tail end. I feel like you still have a lot of years left doing this in your mind, right? So I think one way or another, that's probably going to come your way, even if you're not thinking about it.
Yeah, we'll find something. And now, since I'm currently working on being a little bit more offensive grappling, then maybe some solid chokes are in order.
Yeah, and I mean, ground and pound finishes still count as knockouts, so you can just let some stuff go on the mat as well.
Technically, not as fun.
Yeah. I mean, I know this has been kind of a long, chaotic camp, lots of opponent changes and stuff. Do you need a little break after this one, or are you looking to maybe fight again this year?
That all depends on how often Silva hits me. You know, it's when my body is ready to go, then I let the UFC know to find me somebody. The problem is finding the somebody. So whether it's an opponent replacement or just finding an initial opponent, that's always been the issue of getting me into the octagon. But I mean, I'm looking at fighting again in the fall or winter.
Yeah, sick, man. And just last thing, I guess, that walkout on Saturday, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but for you personally to go out there in front of that crowd, I know there's only been a couple fights in recent years where you've had a crowd to fight in front of, but this one I assume is going to be very heavily on your side. What do you think that's going to feel like on Saturday?
I have no idea. It's been so long since I fought in front of Denver, Colorado, in a hometown, and it's an energy that I like vaguely remember from when I started, and now this is just so much more. So it's an energy and motivation that I've never experienced, and that I can't wait to enjoy it in my walkout. So who knows? I might have a 30-minute walkout as well.
Yeah, we'll do it. I mean, he's setting the tone here, so you should at least be able to double it up. All right. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate it. Your mindset, mentality, always commendable. I'm glad you got a fight and glad you're going to be able to perform on Saturday. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much for the interview.